So good to have you, Gumby. Thank you for being willing to give your interview today. And you are definitely one of the biggest shining stars here at Compassion Center. And we're going to really let the audience know just how important you have been to helping us start the Rise Up recovery. So I'm glad you're here today. I've known you. I was looking at the records today of the first day that we opened up the sleepover, and it was in November of 2021. And you were at the top of the list with me, so you've been with me a long time. And I remember when I first got to know you, we were doing the Compassion Center at the time. We were just eating about 3 times a week here, I think. We were getting to know the community that were living at the park and that were struggling with homelessness. And we are creating this wonderful friendship here in the community. And you came in later though, because there was the first group, and then you all of a sudden showed up, and I thought you had a really cool name because they called you Gumby, and I said, "Well, what is his full name?" And then you showed up, and you said, "Well, my name is Gumby Bibbing." Wow, that's a very cool name. And then you told me that you were named after your grandfather.
His name was Gumby. They took
That
and
is cool. Did you get to know your grandfather? Great grandfather. Wow. Yeah, you've spoken much of your mother. She was a very kind lady that loved you very much. Did she used to fuss over you? You said she wouldn't let you play.
she wouldn't let me play certain the sports I wanted to play. She wouldn't let me play like football or couldn't have a cycle or any of that. I was the only child, therefore.
Wow. And I think she'd be very proud of you today. Really. There was a time where, you were living a different type of a lifestyle out here in the community. Why don't you can we talk about that for a
Sure.
little bit, and then it's going to go really into the highlight of the reason why I asked you to interview today. Talk just a little bit about what was going on in your life.
Well, came from New Jersey. Got out here. I had a job with a girl. She had 2 kids, and me and her, we got an apartment here. We both got jobs the same day. So we were doing pretty good. And the only problem that I really had with her was her kids, because she didn't discipline her kids. And I kind of felt like if I was going to work, I was coming back and I was giving up the majority of my money to take care of these kids and everything else. They need to have chores, something to do, besides just mess up everything and then we get home and have to clean it all up. And that didn't make any sense. So one day they decided to just pack up and leave. I got home from work and they were gone. The only thing was there was the floor model television. And I didn't find the note for like 2 days later.
Oh wow!
So from that point on, no, I was already doing drugs. When I came here, I was doing crack thing. But I was the type of person that could work and still get high.
Function.
Yeah, I was a functional addict. So I made friends kind of right off the bat in the drug world because I would always get drugs before I went to work. And I would pay them after I got off. So we got a bond like that. And from that point on, when she left, I had told him one day that the guy that I was getting the drugs from, his name was OG. He's a preacher now, but
Wow, he changed his life.
yes, he did. But he was pretty bad back then, and he was pretty much like a pimp. You know what I mean? Not real pimpish, but pimpish over the control of what he was doing. You know what I mean? And he had a lot of drug sales customers came to him. So after my girl left, I got fired from my job because I was disappointed, depressed about it. And my boss set me up for work. and I got fired for stealing money that she was stealing. But she was the manager, so of course they didn't listen to me. They listened
You
to
got
her.
blamed for it.
I got blamed for it. So later on, she tells me, "Well, when I get my store, you can come back and work." That's like a submission of guilt. You know what I mean? Why would you bring back a person who just stole out of your store? You know what I mean?
Right.
So and that was a hard lesson right there because I never got that from anybody that work or anywhere because I wasn't the type of person that didn't go to work or was late for work or didn't do my work when I was there. So that drew me back. So I told him that if anything ever happened, I didn't really think that at the time, but I said if anything ever happened, you need some place to stay. You know, you can come stay with me. Well, that time came. So I told him he could come stay with me, and he came, and everything was good, and then drugs started. I mean, I was already doing drugs, so I mean that wasn't no big deal. But now all of a sudden, I'm meeting all the connects, all
Wow.
the big connects in town, everybody that was important. I came to my apartment. You know what I mean? From there, I was giving girls. You know what I mean? I had a five, six, seven girls that I would take care of. But see, I wasn't a pimp. So the way I did things, because I came from Jersey, and not the way they did things out here, it was more of a friendship basis, and that if you do decide to buy drugs, then buy it from me. You know what I mean? And I'll take care of you up until that point. You know what I mean? And I never once told them to go out and do anything. I never once made them do anything. There's days they didn't go do anything. You know what I mean? It didn't hurt them in any form or fashion. Um, all of a sudden I blew up. I just blew up. You start selling to a couple of people, and next thing you know, things change. I had two customers that I would get $1,500 every morning, no matter what I had lost during the course of the day, and that was just the start of the day. And I wasn't wise about it because you're doing drugs and you don't. It's like you're the man. You know what I mean? Everybody's looking at you. Everybody is listening to you. Everybody is watching.
You hold a certain power.
You have a certain power, and how you weigh that power is what happens with you later. You know, I didn't weigh power as though I had power, although I knew I had it. I didn't hold things to people's head, and I didn't do them wrong. So later on, when I did fall, you know what I mean, and I fell because of the same people I was dealing with. The people out here tell on each other, tell on each other, and get themselves out of trouble, and they don't realize that they're not getting out of trouble. They're just informing on the next person.
Right.
The
Because
person,
they're always after the bigger fish.
right,
Right.
right, the person that taking care of them is the first person they tell them. You know what I mean? And that is like that was amazing to me. It was amazing to me. And being here in this state is things are so treacherous. They're cutthroat, and the way the cutthroat is when you are up, everybody wants to be where you're at. And it doesn't matter if you give them that opportunity to be where you're at because many times I did that. I would give them their own packages, their own money, tell them go ahead and start. You know what I mean? I started from nothing, and to have help to start it is wonderful, but they don't look at it that way. They don't look at it that way at all. And I'm glad they don't look at it that way because then I would still be going on the same road that I was going. And one thing leads to another.
Well, what took you off that road?
Well, I'd never really been homeless before. I was homeless because I didn't have my own home, but I was never on the street. Didn't live in tents and all of that. I didn't. I did that for the last 10 years. Lived in tents because that you have a certain what's the word this- there's a way that you are that you just don't lose your dignity. I mean, you have a certain dignity. You just don't lose that dignity no matter what goes on. You can drop standards because you have to drop standards in order to survive because there's other people whose standards are higher and you have to meet their standards in order to survive in that. Otherwise, that just can't. But to drop your dignity is something else. When you can't wash, you can't clean yourself, you can't, can't eat, can't. All you're worrying about is drugs. Nobody's going to look at you serious about nothing, nothing. And when the drugs run out, no matter how pretty you are or how good looking you are, that wears out. Wears out quick. And when that wears out, you don't get the free handouts. You know what I mean? You get the handouts when you're cute. You know what I mean? You could be as rotten as heck, but because you're cute is the reason why you're getting it. But if you don't keep that cuteness, that
Well,
all goes with it.
only so long on drugs. The
Yeah,
teeth fall out, and you're
man.
losing so much
And in
weight.
6 months, I've seen them just
I
disappear,
know. I know.
disappear.
I see it.
And to look at that, even the group that I came up with, they never deteriorated like that. You know what I mean? But the drugs are stronger now.
Yeah.
They're much different. And the drugs aren't designed to get you high. They're just designed to keep making you want it because you feel as though you didn't get it in the first place.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And all you're doing is putting money in somebody else's pocket. That's all you're doing.
We lose ourselves.
And we lose ourselves. There's a fog that goes over your eyes that you can't see. And you can't see the fog and you can't see what the fog's got fogged up. And when that clears up and that clears away, oh my God, there's just the simplest things are amazing again. You know what I mean? Me and Turtle, we go out to the park. We've almost been to every park here in Albuquerque. I didn't even know there was that many parks. We've been to the mountains. We've been to the bosque. We've walked miles and miles in the bosque, miles and miles in the mountains. There's so many things to do.
Because Gumby, you stopped buying drugs and you started buying yourself motor scooters, things that you can now enjoy.
Yeah.
We talked a while back about acclimating, how we can just acclimate to living under a shopping cart with a tarp. As long as we have that drug, we're okay. We can be dirty. We can not have something to eat, but as we see it, and I'm not saying you, but I'm saying we see others. Like, what are they doing? On the sidewalk. It's freezing cold out here. What's going on with them? That where they lose all of that.
It's a retaliation. It's a retaliation, but it's a useless retaliation. It's like they sit in one spot, all right? They make a community in that spot. You don't do that when you're trying to be secure, especially on the street, because when the cops mess with you, the weather's bad. When things are going on, it's bad. You know what I mean? That's when they want you to get up, they want you to move all your stuff. They don't come on nice days, good days. Say, oh, you got to get up and move. You know what I mean? So they wait till the weather's the worst that it can get. And that's when they come and tell you to move. Now, we got 7, 8 shots.
And why would we have 7 or 8 drugs? Is what
I
I'm
don't
saying.
understand that
I'm saying
either.
acclimate. We because the drug is really our priority, and as long as we have our drug, we're just going to exist. But then, like you said, when you woke up, and what happened that day when you actually woke up? What happened that morning?
Well, that morning, I had got an apartment. I'd been in there for 6 months. When you're on the street, you're living with people. You live with those people for a long time. Now, when you get something, it's pretty hard to tell them to get away. You know what I mean? Because now you're just as phony as you can possibly be. They're out there. They've done the same things, gone through the same things you've gone through, and they just don't have the gumption to go and get what they really need. You know what I mean? And they cling to the people who do. So it's like when you get something, almost the worst thing in the world would be to ignore the one that you were with.
So you want to
Because
help them
they
out?
can make your life
Oh,
they can make your life really hell because it's like now you're better than me. You're no
so
better
you
than me.
feel
You
like
were
you
here.
owe them. You have
You feel
to
like that.
hold
You
a,
feel like that.
yeah.
That you really feel like that. And the people that are letting you house there, they don't feel that. It's to them. It's not about how many people come off the street. It's just, hey, we got you off, so be happy with that. You know what I mean? But they don't understand that there's still more behind that. And there's still things you have to deal with because if you do turn it back, turn an eye away, whatever, they will come and get you. They will get you, and they'll get you.
Retaliation.
They'll get you in ways that you won't even think is coming.
Is that what you think happened to you when the sheriff showed up at your door?
A lot of it because none of the people out there are really stupid. You've got all kind of people out there. You've got lawyers, you've got doctors, you've got psychiatrists. You have all types of people that are homeless. We had a professor out there
I
that was
know two.
homeless.
I know 2%
Okay,
professor.
so these people are devious when it comes to when you have a family, you don't break off your family and just push them away because something better happened. You know what I mean? It's not the right thing to do. It's not because in the long run, you're just right back to where they are. So when you do get things like that, you have to find other ways to try to help because you can't bring all that to where you are.
Well, you thought you were helping people selling them drugs by
Yeah,
doing them a favor. So when they were hurting or they got dope sick, you would work with them to keep them on the drug so they wouldn't get sick. But
yeah,
in your own mind, because you were a user too, you were thinking, well, I'm helping, right? I'm just, and everybody in this community had so much respect. You still do had so much respect for you. You were selling to a lot of them, and but they've always, even like you said, even when you didn't know this community and you were doing drug sales, and you were even a place where you could say, here's your own package, here's your money. I mean, during that time, you still always held a respect, Gumby. And I remember one day when I asked you, well, Gumby, why don't you carry a basket? And you
oh
said,
no,
why would I do that? Then everybody will know I'm homeless. So, and you're talking about that dignity that you hold. So, but now you're using that in such a positive way. So you get busted, right?
yeah.
And what's going on in your mind that day?
I got busted. I said to myself, this is done. You know what I mean? It wasn't a point of crying or thinking that there was some kind of shining light or some hope there because I have a pretty thick jacket. You know what I mean? And this is the only place that I've ever been that I have a police record at all. You know what I mean? So it's like I built up a pretty big jacket here, and that selling. I never got picked up for selling. I always got picked up for possession. I've done 6 or 7 probation. You know what I mean? I've completed all of them. I've done 3 or 4 programs. I did Salvation Army. I did Good Shepherd. I did TLC.
Wow.
I completed all of that. It's not that I wasn't capable of completing anything I had to
Right.
do or stopping when I needed to, but this time was a lot different. This time was my age factor, my life. I shouldn't be where I'm at, and I know that. If my parents had have stayed alive, I wouldn't I wouldn't be in this at all. I wouldn't have done drugs at all because I didn't do drugs until they died anyway. You know what I mean? And I really wouldn't have done them then, but I was getting married and passing out, and my friends wanted me to be more alert, so they gave me a joint. You know what I mean? And from the joint, it went from crack, and cracking with charge. So I mean, and many years of it. I, 30 years I did crack, not missing a day, not missing a day. And for the
So you
last,
so you woke up in jail and you said, I'm done. But did you even
no, I
spend?
woke up before I went to jail. I
Okay.
woke up before I went to jail. When they was there, I woke up then. But it was too late as far as I was concerned for the wake up. You know what I mean? And it's to have all of them just come in my door like that and put your hands up and all this. It was the setup. I mean, somebody did that because I had dealers all around where I live. and they were much bigger than me. You know what I mean? So it's not like they just accidentally came. When they took me to jail and they told me they were going to release me on my own recognizance, I was amazed. I
You
was
thought
totally
you were going to
amazed.
be in trouble.
Oh, I didn't think I was ever going to come out again. And then I came back here and I asked you if I could stay. You told me yes. And
As long as you didn't.
as long as I didn't do any drugs or and I did what I was supposed to do. And that right there was the greatest start. I needed to find a program so that I was AAing and sending my papers in, and I couldn't find it. You know, when I was doing doing TLC and Good Shepherd, there was places all over that was doing
Yeah.
AA
Yeah.
meetings and everything, and I couldn't find it. You know what I mean? So I told you about it, and you started a AA
Yeah.
meeting for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that I was able to turn the papers, and I was able to give my probation officer what she needed. Prayed with me. Everybody prayed with me. You know, and I promised God that if He let me out of that, I wouldn't go back again. And I haven't.
Hope, and you've
You
built a
know,
relationship with
he
Jesus.
took
Yeah.
all of the warranting, the my biggest part of it is the money. It was the money. You know what I mean? Because I was saving money. When I was making money, I was wasting money. Because when you make money, you waste money. You know, I didn't save it. I didn't do what I should have been doing. I just, you know, but then now, but when I got caught this time, I was saving. So it was like, you know, I didn't have any other income coming in, and I felt as though I don't like to ask people for anything. I don't like to borrow from anybody. I don't like early advancements. I don't like any of that. I do a job. I want to get paid for it. That's my money. It's over and done with. You know what I mean? I don't owe anybody. None of that. So it really was amazing. You know, went to my court dates. You were there for me the whole time, and you kept telling me that everything was going to be all right. Little did I think. But I went to court, and the judge said, you know, I'm dismissing everything. The police didn't show up. Nobody showed up. They gave me my money back and everything. I mean, I would never put myself in that position again.
Again.
You know what I mean? So it's this has been everything to me.
It's been great. There's a scripture from Romans 8:28, and it says, "All things work together for good to those who love God, who are called according to His purpose." And God used all of that. I mean, He didn't want to create chaos in your life. Gumby, you were kind of doing that by yourself,
Yeah.
but through all of the courts, and now that you're looking at prison possible. I mean, there could have been a lot of things gone wrong, but we saw this great miracle, and nobody knew. It was just like this confusion. We were over the attorneys, and finally the judge just said nobody's ready, nobody's, boom, dismissed. And it's just like what Jesus Christ did for us. He looks at our sin and He said, forgiven. We're forgiven, and our sins He remembers no more. And you didn't play games with God. I've seen people when they get in jail and all of a sudden, oh, they're praying and, oh, but once they're out, 24 hours later, they're hitting the streets again, and there's been no change in their life. But I have seen a change in you. You work for us now, and you do a great job for just a small stipend that we can pay. But you do it with your heart. Your eyes have been opened. And now you're like, why? Why are these people taking so long? How come they don't see it? You know?
they they say you set examples by by you know what I mean by what you do, and it's I'm doing it, so it's just like I just want to snatch them up because it's like why don't they see that? You know what I mean? It's just
Yeah. I have been there. I've been here 29 years as a minister. And I was here during the crack epidemic in 96, me and my husband. But all we didn't look at the condition. We looked at the need and how could we help these people. and through prayer and believing God, and all of a sudden we started seeing some changes. But this has been a little bit the big. This has been a lot different.
Yeah.
This last year, this last 2 years that we have seen, especially with the Rise Up program, the recovery that you helped us create, we have seen lives change and people, and because you have been a good witness with your life, and you were the drug dealer, people had this respect, and now they have a new respect for you, and they're saying, Gumby, he's clean, he's living the life, a better life for himself, and you're now this positive role model for them, and many will start coming in. I think so many of them are like on the edge. So many of them are on the edge of breakthrough, but you have a lot to do with that because you were able to take that first step, and we've seen it with Sean, we've seen it with Shane, we have Christopher, who is a heroin addict, and he's going to be interviewing one day with us too. And now he listened. Him and I started that beginning step of him to go get detoxed, and because he was on heroin and fentanyl, and
Yeah.
he couldn't detox himself. He could have died, but he
But
did it. He did it, and he now he's in barber college, and
oh, he looks so much better.
he looks so good. His
You almost don't even recognize
I know,
him.
I know.
He
So,
looks
but
good.
there's a lot of that faith. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
faith has been such a beautiful transformation, also. So we see it. And prayer is really what they need from us. That's what we can do. Love them, help them out. These groups that we're having, the recovery, you know, when we get their answers back from the activities, you could just see how they are just almost there. And I believe we're going to see more of that. And we're gonna be here. We're going to be here. We're going to give them a dinner. We're going to show them love. We're going to help them. If I have tents, I'll give it to them. If I have sleeping bags, blankets, clothing, warm things for them to help them, their pets. I mean, we're going to be there to love these folks no matter what. We don't look down on them and say, well, you're an addict. You're lesser of a person. No, they're just as important as the mayor or
Yeah.
the governor or anybody else in this community of Albuquerque, in New Mexico. So we got to treat them with the same respect. And when they start turning around, we know that we had something to do with it. I mean, God does the major part of course, but we can be a servant. We can be an example, of what we want. And I am so proud of you because you're not just, well, okay, it's me now. Me and my dogs, we're fine. We're going to go get us a house and we're going to be all good. I know you're always going to remember them out here. You still want to continue to come back here and work with me and keep that connection with all your friends on the streets. And why is that important to you?
Because I want to see him change. I want to see him do better. I mean, they're not stupid. They're
Oh,
just lost.
yes.
And I'm just hoping that they'll snap.
Talked about that fog. There is a fog. It's like we have, God's word says that we have veils over our eyes to where we can't see. But when that veil has been lifted, just like you said, like, wow, life is so much better,
There's a lot of little things you miss that is right in
Yep,
front of your face.
yep. And your health, and, you're a better pet owner now. You got your three
Yeah.
dogs, and they're so sweet. And, you're going to continue to move. You're progressing in your life. You stay very connected with your case manager. And this summer, you will be in a house. And that is so beautiful. And you're going to see this time, you're going to keep it though.
But yeah.
You're not going to play the drug game. You're not going to take those risks that, causes you to lose. You don't want to lose anything anymore. You want to keep what you have, right? What would you say to somebody that's maybe thinking about changing their life and giving up the addiction?
I would say that it's not hard. It really isn't that hard. You just have to do something a little different, a little different positive. I mean, on a wrong note, if you really want to do your drugs, get your life together then do them in between time. But don't let the drug whole life, because to wake up in the morning and then to go to bed at night, all you've accomplished during the day is doing some drugs.
And there's many that can't just do that recreational. They can't go back, because they'll end up back in the same position again.
Yeah, well, hopefully by the time they've done the stuff that they need to do, they won't want to go back.
Right, right.
Because you just need a little time to get it out your system.
Mhm.
Once you get it out your system, you can keep it out your system.
Yeah,
It really isn't designed to get you high. Drugs are designed for party, to get you party. Go out somewhere at a club or whatever, wherever you're at. It's a little extra excitement for a party. It's not a lifestyle, even though it's become, but it's not a lifestyle.
I know people that had jobs. I know people that had a pretty decent life, and that went from recreation to addiction, and
Yeah,
they still can't get out of it. But I know in time they will. When you're sick and tired of it, you have to just wake up.
yeah.
Like Faith said, she just woke up laying on a recliner, and she said, "I am so done. I'm not doing this anymore." And she was able to get some help and get herself cleaned up.
But that is true. Yeah, I mean, you have to be sick and tired of being sick and
Yeah,
tired. And just the littlest things at the weirdest times make you stop.
and that's good, and
Yeah,
that's prayer too.
yeah.
Well, I want to thank you, Gumby, for taking the time today and sharing your story. And I just want you to know what a great asset you are to us here at Compassion, and will always be here at Interfaith Bible Center. And we want you to continue to grow in the things of God and to continue to help us build our community up. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Yay, that was good. Thank you, Gumby.
You're welcome.